Yeah, good morning, everyone. Warm welcome to Ask the Pediatricians Live. It's my pleasure to be here this morning. I am Bimisola Boyede. I'm a pediatrician. I'm also the founder of Ask the Pediatrician Foundation. And on ATP Live this morning, we're going to be talking about DHA and the brain. Okay, so, and today's program is brought to you courtesy of PIC 456, and I would like all of you to be part of the program today. And so if you are joining us, I want you to share the video, and I want you to drop, if you have questions, you have comments, you can drop it on our in the comment section, and we will definitely take your questions. So we're going to be talking about DHA and the brain. And today, courtesy of our sponsors, I also have gifts to give away. So the first gift I'm going to give away is going to be the very first person to comment, the very first person to join me on live. I know some of you are already here, but if I see your comments on the video, then you get my early bird gift. So I'll give that. Then I'm going to ask a question, and that question is, who knows the full meaning of DHA? So don't go and Google because I know some of you go and quickly Google and try and copy and paste. Okay, maybe that's not a fair question to ask on a live program. Okay. Okay, so, but if you know the full meaning of DHA and you're able to post it, I will give you the link to this broadcast, and you can be my guest in the program. So if you are just joining, I want you to join me this morning as to talk about DHA and the brain. And like I said, we're breaking this program to you courtesy of Pick 456. Yes, so you're all welcome to ATP Live this morning, and that's what we are talking about this morning. This morning, I'm going to be running the show solo, but if you want to be part of if you want to be my guest and you want to join me in the studio, just in the case, you must have a very strong internet connection, and I'll give you the link, and you can be a guest to join me in the program live. Okay, so we're going to start right now. So once again, please share the video, share it on your timeline, share it in groups or pages where you belong to, if you have the permission to do so, and so that we can really have lots of us joining, and I'm sure you know everybody's going to enjoy the program today. So we're going to talk about DHA and the brain, and this is just okay. So before I go on, I think Ojelade Adebumi Oluwaseyitan is the first person to join me on ATP Live this morning, and so you are going to be getting special gift from our sponsor, Big 56, as the early bird gifts. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Joma, I can also see you. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so thank you, everyone. You're welcome to ATP Live. And once again, please share our videos. And if you have questions about brain nutrition, you can just put it down, and we'll feature your question live in comments, and then you will be able to have a fruitful discussion. So this morning, again, we're talking about DHA and the brain. And like I've rightly said before, this DHA, I want somebody to tell me that, but I don't think anybody has told me that yet. So I'm still waiting for you guys to tell me if you know the answer to my question. So just tell me what is the full meaning of DHA, and then I will see. Because I don't want to tell you guys yet. I want to say that I will be able to get somebody who can tell me the full meaning of the word DHA. Okay, but why is it important for us to talk about DHA and the brain? If some of you were watching this program a few weeks ago, we talked about the importance of nutrition as far as brain development is concerned. And I especially talk about the brain. And I, as a neurodevelopmental pediatrician, and I begin to think whether I can say the brain is the most important organ in the body. I don't know whether you agree with me. Some people will say maybe it's the heart. Yeah, but I think between the brain and the heart, I mean, those are the most important organ in the body. And so when we talk about it's a very small organ that is enclosed by our skull in the head, parts of the body. But one of the brain is unique in so many ways, and that is why it's important for us to talk about this topic today. The brain is unique in the sense that it is one of those organs that is not fully developed at birth. So even though the brain start developing in from the third week of conception, we know that the brain keeps developing, and majority of brain development is still occurring as the when the baby is born, and it keeps on developing. So the brain is an organ that is still developing even after the child has been born. In fact, 95% of brain development occur in the first 5 years of life. And that is why it's important that the brain has the right structure and all the right what we call nutrients or requirements for it to be able to grow properly. And that is why we're talking about the brain, because unlike most of the other organs that are already fully formed at birth and they are just getting bigger in terms of sizes and all that, the brain is one of those organs that is not yet fully formed at birth. And so majority of brain development is still occurring. This is what I want to, this is what I want to show you. And the reason why we're talking about DHA is because DHA is one of those essential requirement for brain growth. So without going into too much of medical jargons, the brain, majority of the brain is made up of these fatty layers. And one of those, because we call them neurons, and neurons have, the membrane is made up of lipids, or what we call fats, and they're also what we call myelin, that's that cushion the brain, and that also helps in making sure that all the parts of the brain they are well positioned with each other. So there are so many things that require information of the brain, but one of the major constituents of the brain are these fats, and the greatest components of these fats are this DHA. So DHA is what we call docosahexaenoic acid. I know nobody has mentioned it, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it since nobody is mentioning it. So DHA is docosahexaenoic acid. Now, don't worry about the name. Just stick with DHA. That is easier for most of us to pronounce. Okay, and so when we talk about the brain and DHA, it's one of those essential fats that make up part of the brain. Now, unlike some fats that you can make from carbohydrates, in other words, so sometimes when you eat carbohydrates, it can be converted to fats in your body. So that's one way the body can make fat. But there are some fats that your body cannot produce, and that's why we call them essential fatty acids, which means that these essential fatty acids, you have to deliberately take them in. And one of these essential fatty acids is this DHA. And because the body cannot make it, and yet this DHA is one of the most important components of the brain matter itself, it means it is very, very important. So because the brain is still developing in the first 5 years of life, the brain must have all these right nutrients and environment for it to develop. And one of the essential things that the brain needs is this DHA, because I remember mentioning the last time we had this something related to this topic, that if these essential nutrients are not present when they are supposed to be present, it could be very, very dangerous. In other words, even after, if for any reason later on you were able to get those nutrients, but the brain, they were not available at the specific time, which is in the first 5 years when the brain is developing, it can lead to complete you can't recover it may be difficult to recover what has been lost. And so for children, DHA is very, very important for them, because they really need this essential fatty acid for their brain to develop, and because their brain is still developing in these first 5 years of life. So these first 5 years of life is the most crucial time period or window where all these essential things must be made available. So I hope you've understood why it's important to talk to us about brain and talk about DHA. So once again, I want to break it down. So saying that, number one, the brain of a child is not fully formed at birth, the brain is still developing. And one of the greatest components, more than 50-75% of the brain is made up of fats. And this, the majority of this fat is this DHA. And because the brain is still developing in the first 5 years of life, this DHA, which is the essential component of the brain or the essential nutrient for the brain to be formed, must be made available. Otherwise, the brain will not be formed properly. And when the brain is not formed properly, those children are going to have problems, developmental problems, and that is one of the things we need to avoid. And so that is why it's important for us to talk about DHA. So it's important, even remember what I said, that brain is being formed even right from the womb, from the 3rd week. So even the pregnant mothers, they must make sure that they have this available. So what, and apart from DHA, there are other things that the brain need, like folic acid and all that. So it's important that you, as a pregnant mother, you have all this. Unfortunately, sometimes mothers don't even know when they are pregnant. And the brain cell is being formed in the first 3rd week of conception. And most mothers have not even missed their period, so they don't know they're pregnant. And so that's why it's important that if you are a mother within the childbearing age, you are always making sure you're taking the right nutrients, or make sure you use family planning, so that when you are ready to conceive, then you plan and you make sure that your diet is right. Make sure your diet is rich in DHA and all that. You make sure you're taking your folic acid, very, very important. Then beyond the pregnancy period, when the baby is born, it is also important. And I'll be telling us about the sources of DHA. I think that's one question everybody's going to be asking me. So when the baby is born, the first 6 months of life, breast milk. Wonderfully, God has made sure that DHA is available in breast milk. And so the DHA in breast milk is good enough for the brain of a developing child in the first life. But after that, this baby needs to get DHA, because the baby is growing, the brain is growing, the DHA in breast milk may not be enough, so the baby needs to take other sources, and that's where we start complementary phase. So what are the sources of DHA? We see that DHA is present mostly in fish and fish oil, and sometimes in some what we call eggs. Some eggs also have DHA, and some dairy products as well. So these are the commonest source of DHA. And why is this important is because we find that most mothers, when we start doing complementary feeding, especially in Africa and Nigeria specifically, most of us tend to wean the children onto mostly carbohydrates, pap and all those kind of things. And most of the time, we sometimes we had some milk, sometimes people don't even bother having milk. And why this is supplying carbohydrates is not providing this essential brain food, which is the DHA. And that is why it's important that we know that when a child is developing, they still need their brain still need DHA. And so it is not enough for you to just say you are giving the child food. The question is, are you giving the child the right food? And DHA is the right food for the brain, as you can see in the poster I have above. So it's very, very important for us to make sure that we give this food that's rich in DHA to children, especially in the first 5 years of life. Most of us adults, our brain are fully formed, so you don't need much of it. You still need DHA for other things, but maybe not too much for. And there are different kind of fish, that have DHA, things like salmon, things like herring, sardine, mackerel. So seafood generally, oysters, tuna, there's so many of them. I know some of us don't even know which fish, which one. So, but basically, most of those kind of fish, especially fatty oily fish that I've mentioned, mackerel, tuna, sardine, and all that, they are very good sources of DHA. And the question is, how many of you are giving this kind of fish to your children when you're giving them complimentary feeds? And this is where most of them get. And of course, you also need, and even the quality in this and this fish, they may not be so much. So the child still need to take them regularly during this. So it's not enough to just give once a day or things like that. You have to make sure you had this. And that's why we talk about fortifying your cereal. So when you start children on cereals, it's either you're giving them some these days some products are also containing DHA. So so we call supplements. So you have two options when it comes to DHA. You can give either from dietary sources, so things like that is scrolling on your screen now, you can give them that. Alternatively, you can give them from supplements as well. So those are the ways by which you can give it. And it's very, very important for us to make sure that children in the first years of life, when the growth of the brain is maximum, they get this DHA. So that's very, very important. That's why we've decided to talk about it today. So once again, thank you everyone for joining me. And just to let you know that this program today has been used by Pick 456 and Pick 456 also is is fortified with DHA. And so if you're wondering, oh, I'm not so sure I'm going to get my fish oil and things like that, you may want to consider using supplements. And it could be supplements in terms of medication, it could be supplements in terms of food, and that will also be very helpful for you as well. Okay, so I think I've given you enough introduction, so I'm going to allow you guys to ask me questions. So if you have questions about DHA, you have questions about brain and nutrition, kindly drop it in comment section, and then we'll be able to take in your questions this morning. Again, if you are interested in being a guest, and if you are on the watch party, you have to remember that while we are live now, we won't be able to see your questions. So if you're on the watch party, you really need to move your questions down to the video itself. And if our moderators that are on the watch party, you can help us move people's questions down to the live broadcast so that we can take them as well. So we'll go on to question and answer right now. And as we talk about brain development in children. Okay, so I've not yet got any question coming to me, so I'll just keep on talking while we take our questions. So just to tell us again about the brain, because I do get a lot of questions, and people will now say, okay, for children who already have brain, as a developmental pediatrician, is one of the questions I get a lot. Children who already have some brain damage, or maybe they've already have some what we call developmental conditions, maybe autism, cerebral palsy, and things like that. And people will be asking, they will not say, okay, can we be giving the child omega-3 and DHA containing food and things like that? Really helpful, and all those kind of questions. Yeah, so I want to really say that for children who already have brain damage, it's difficult you may not be able to reverse it's difficult to reverse the damage through supplements. But however, it is still very important for us to make sure that these children they get the right food, because whatever part of their brain, that's why we're talking about why brain is important, because sometimes if you mix it when it comes to the brain, it's sometimes quite difficult to get it back the honest truth. And that is why the good thing is to prevent it from happening in the first place. So you want to prevent brain damage either from birth or from nutritional causes. You don't want things like that. You also want to make sure that you are giving your child the right things to make sure that the brain is well. But when it has happened, sometimes it's difficult to revive what has happened. But you remember that the part of it's not the whole brain that has been affected. So the part of the brain that are still developing, and that's why some children with developmental disabilities, they get better, because even though they have suffered some disabilities, some part of the brain that are growing. So even sometimes some of them can even take over the parts of they can take over the function of the parts that have been affected. And that is why it's important that the rest, the part of the brain that's been spared, we also allow those ones to develop maximally. And that is why it's very, very important that you still keep giving those supplements. But I'm very being careful, because I don't want people to think, okay, so if my child already has cerebral palsy or any of those brain developmental malformations and all that, if I now give supplement, then the child is going to get better. And you see people will not go and do physiotherapy, they will not do speech therapy, they will not do anything. They will think, I'll just go and wait for I'll just be doing the what's it called? I will just be giving the supplements and things will reverse. No, you still need to make sure that the child is getting all those supports. But you can still give the supplement, because it will help the rest part of the brain that are not affected. So let me just take some of the questions I have right now. So if you have questions, please drop your questions. We are here to take your question. What food contain? I'm not sure I get this question. What food do the brain form? Okay, so I think this person is asking me, what are the food that the brain needs? Okay, so let me break it down for us. The brain is made up of brain cells. And these brain cells are surrounded by, they have what we call, for those of you who still remember your biology, you have what we call the lipid, the cell membrane. And for brain, it's made up of mainly fats, lipids. And then we also have what we call the myelin and all that surround the brain. The brain cell is called neurons. And then these neurons, there are many of them, billions of neurons formed together is what made up the brain. And then this brain surrounded by myelin sheaths that protect it and all those kind of, so let's not go into much of biology. But so because of that, so for you to form the brain, you need your protein, because the cell itself, you need the nucleic acid and all that. So that's where your folic acid come in. You need your protein, but because majority of the brain is made up of fat, you also need lots of this fat. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but the brain is made up of mostly essential fatty acids. So which means you can't get it from your food. You can't get it from conversion from carbohydrate to fat. So you really need to take it in. And one of those major components of the fats that made up the brain is the DHA, and that is why you need to have food that is rich in DHA. And so, like Chinyere, what I was saying is that in the first 6 months of life, you can get most of these things from breast milk. And even before the baby is born, you also need to make sure that you as a pregnant mother, you're taking food rich in DHA, you're also taking folic acid and all that, eating balanced nutrition and all that. But after that 6 months of life, breast milk. After 6 months of life, you go to complementary phase while you still keep on breastfeeding. And you also make sure that whatever complementary food you are giving, you give what is rich in DHA. And we'll talk about sources of DHA being mostly fish, seafoods, fish oil, and things like that. And also, alternatively, you can also get them from supplements like milk that are fortified with DHA. So eggs, some dairy products, they also they have DHA in them. So those are the ways by which you can get this brain food called DHA. I hope that is very good. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. In my over decaying days, as after 6 years, does it mean it's not necessary anymore? Very important question. Very good. Of course, it is still necessary, but it's not as if the brain stopped developing at 6 years. So, but we're just saying that the majority, that's why we didn't say 100%, we said 95%. So the majority of brain development occurs in the first 5 to 6 years, 5 years really. So there's nothing wrong. Even you as an adult, you can benefit from DHA. So you definitely, you said that you don't need it as much like a child whose brain is developing. So the first 5 years is a critical period. This is when, if you miss it, there's nothing we can do. But that does not mean that once 6 years is over, you don't need to give DHA, because some development, some changes are still going on, and of course, it's good for you. So you can take food rich in DHA even after 6 years. But we're saying that we are more particular for children, especially in the first 5 years of life. So thank you so much. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I can see all my questions are coming in now. Just keep them coming. So, Esther is asking me, as a typical village woman. Okay, you're a village woman, but you're on Facebook and you're on internet. Okay, all right, thank you. How do I get DHA for my children for a better brain development? Okay, I think some of you are just joining me, so I understand that. So some of you have mixed the part where I did the introduction about what is DHA, how the sources of DHA and all that. So basically I've said that DHA, you can get it from breast milk, you can get from egg, you can different kind of fish, salmon, tuna, mackerel, herring, so many of them, fish oil basically, and some of the other seafood like oyster and things like that. Even some non-animal sources like algae oil and all that, but most of us don't go for those kind of things. You can also get it from supplements. So there are supplements, people even sell it as medication, but we don't recommend that. We prefer you give it as dietary source. And there are also products like milk and things like that are fortified with DHA. So if you don't want to stress yourself, you can just go. If you're not sure whether you are getting your fish or you are not getting the fish, or you can just, at least if you use products that are already fortified with DHA. So one of the things you should look out for when you're buying products, look out for, especially for your children below the age of 5, is that do they contain DHA? And I think with that you are covered, even as a yeah. Okay. Thank you. NA is asking, Doctor, you mentioned that DHA can be gotten from mackerel, salmon. My question is that, is it available to give kids all this canned food? Oh, NA, I'm not sure that you necessarily have to buy canned food to give you all these things. I hope you're not going with, no. So when we say mackerel, I hope you're not thinking of those products that they always, no. You can get the real fish itself. You can get it. That's even better. As much as possible, we want you to get the real thing. So you don't have to get the salmon. They sell salmon as per, like, you can buy like fish in the markets. It doesn't have to be the canned one. The problem with some of those canned food is that sometimes they are loaded with salt because they are trying to preserve them, and so they put a lot of salt, which are not quite good for the children. So not that they are completely bad. You can use them, but you have to be very careful. And one of the things I think we should develop as parents is that whenever you're buying product for your children, you check the nutritional fats. It's a law that all food, all products must contain the nutritional fats. They would tell you this amount of salt, this amount of sugar, this amount of this amount of that is in your food. So it's very, very important for you as a whenever you're buying product for your children, that you should get it. Make sure that you make sure that whatever is inside is appropriate for your children. So you don't have to buy the canned product. That's the point I'm trying to make. There are many other options that you can get the natural food itself. These are, you can just get that and that'll be fine. So I hope that's is as answer your question. And all right, thank you so much. I will just take a few more of our questions. If you mix it at the beginning, don't worry, you can always still get it back as well. Okay. Uh, okay, I think I've answered these questions again and again. So, Veronica is asking me, good morning, doctor. What are the common brain foods for elder children? I think I've answered that question already. So, we've talked about what you can get from breast milk and for the first 6 months. And then after that, you can also you can get from fish oil, and all those are food that are very rich in that are very rich in DHA, which is the essential brain food. Okay, so I'll just go on, and if you still have questions, just ask me now. I'll go on, and then I will answer them as we continue in the program. Okay, so I think I have one person got a gift, so I'm not sure. Okay, I think I can give away two more gifts. So I'll ask again now. So who can tell me the full meaning of DHA? Maybe I can give somebody gifts, but you have to be very fast. So I'm going to do a countdown for 1 minute. So if you don't do it in 1 minute, I will assume you are trying to Google. And if you are trying to Google, then that means you can't win my gifts. So I want somebody who is already on the program who can just spontaneously tell me. So what's the full meaning of DHA? So you just have to write it now, and you have to write it on directly on the program itself. So we've been talking about DHA today, and we've talked about DHA being the essential brain food, and it's very important, especially the fact that the brain is developing in the first 5 years of life. It's very important that children are given this food as appropriately. So, no matter what you're giving, you have to be considerate of the brain, because the brain is very, very vital. The brain is the organ that controls all the rest of the body, even your breathing, your heart beating, everything is correct, is controlled by your brain. Even though if your brain is there, you'll still be alive, but then we all know that you are not really alive. But the heart is the organ that keeps you alive anyway. If your heart is still beating, you're alive. When your heart stops beating, you're dead. But what really make you function now, what really makes you to be able to interact, to not just to be alive, but to be able to do anything, is your brain. So the brain is a very, very vital organ, and the brain is so vital that if the brain suffer any injury, the brain doesn't recover, the brain doesn't grow back. So it's very vital that the brain gets all that he needs. And the first 5 years of the child's life is the most important period of brain development, and we must make sure that during this period we give the brain all that the brain needs. And we already said that one of the things that the brain really needs in the first 5 years of life is DHA, because the brain is made up mostly of essential fatty acids. It's a very, very, very lots of the structure of the brain, the myelin, the membrane of the brain, all of them are from fats, and the DHA is one of those fats. And so that's why it's very important that you make sure that children are given this. I would say that in the womb, we expect the mothers to take food that are rich in this essential fatty acid, the DHA. After the baby is born, exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life will give the baby this. And after that, when you go on to complementary food, you must make sure you give food that contain DHA that are very, very essential for the brain development. And we've given an example of fish oil. We've given an example that if you are not sure of how much of DHA you are getting from some of these source, you can also use supplements. You can use food that are supplemented or that are already fortified with DHA. And so these are important, so that your child's brain will be developing properly, your children will be bright, they'll be sharp, and so that's why it's important for you to take this. And I already told you that today's program is brought to you courtesy of our sponsor, Pick 456. And Pick 456 is one of those products that are also fortified with DHA, so you can use it as well. All right, so I've posted a question. Who knows the meaning of DHA? And nobody is answering me. Okay, I'm going to go away with my gift. Thank you. All right, so let's go on to. I got another question now. Are there special meals a pregnant mom should take to develop baby's brain? Very important. Yoha is asking me whether there's special meal for pregnant mothers. Yes. So we've talked about pregnancy. That is very, very important. And unfortunately, most of us in Nigeria and some Africa, we don't plan for pregnancy. In other places, you actually plan for pregnancy, so you will know what food you need to take, what food you should not take when you're pregnant. And so a pregnant mothers need to take balanced nutrition because you are a whole human being. He's been formed in your body, and this whole human being is made up of cells, made up of things that contain amino acids, nucleic acid, fats, and all that. So you need to eat food that are rich in protein, that are rich in fats, especially essential fatty acid, DHA, and especially you also need to take your folic acid because, like I stressed the other time, folic acid. In fact, all mothers of childbearing age, all girls, in fact, not mothers, all girls of childbearing age, which we say from like 18 to 35 should be on folic acid regularly because you can get pregnant at any time. And the folic acid is very important for the first 8 weeks when the baby is being formed, because that is when the brain is formed. And when folic acid is absent during that first 3 weeks to 8 weeks when the brain is being formed, it causes a particular malformation of the brain, what we call spinal bifida. Spinal bifida, there's a way the brain closes. The brain, I don't want to go into jargon, but the brain has what we call the anterior part of the brain and the posterior part of it, which must close. And what happens is that if the folic acid is not there, it may affect the closure of those structures during that brain formation. And that's why you see babies that are born what we call like a part of the brain is protruding from the back, like myelomeningeal seal and all that. We call it spinal bifida. Or sometimes it could even be the anterior part, and you see some children born, maybe there's no head, there's no brain. In fact, the brain may not be completely formed at all, what we call anencephaly, or the brain may not be very well formed, or there will be a lot of malformation in the brain, and those children are going to have lots of developmental disabilities. So it's very, very important that you make sure that the brain pregnant mother is taking the right food, especially it's also taking the folic acid. But you also should avoid things that are like too much of vitamin A and all that, because those ones can also damage the brain formation. So these are very important for a pregnant mother to take care of. Okay, somebody is telling me that there are responses on the full meaning of DHA on the watch party. Unfortunately, because I won't be able to know who is the first person on the watch party, I don't know at the timing because I don't have access to watch party when I'm live on the Active Care Foundation page. I really want the winner to really be somebody who posted directly on the video. So I will not be able to give those who are on the watch party. What do you think? Should we give those who are on the watch party? Yeah, okay. Just let me know who is the first person to say it at the watch party. If it is Atoye Temitope Molade, then I can give it to her. I hope the person who got it at the record time. But usually for my competition, you have to be on the main page itself so that I can judge it by myself that you're doing it the right way. Okay, so I think I've answered that question about what special food a pregnant mother needs to take out, and I hope that is clear for Ioha. Yeah. So just be very conscious that when you're pregnant, you're eating folic acid. And then sometimes some mothers are pregnant, they don't want to eat because of the nausea and the vomiting. It could be quite hard. In fact, there was a time they actually have milk for moms as well that's fortified with all these folic acid, the DHA, and all that. I know there was a product like that, but I think adults generally don't like taking supplement from milk, so they prefer to take it as either capsules and things like that. But the most important thing is that it's either you are eating it or you are taking it as supplement. But it's very, very important that you make sure you're getting all the right amount of essential food, protein, essential fatty acid, folic acid, things like that that are very, very vital for the development of your child's brain. Thank you so much. Okay. So Atoye Bitemi as my second winner. I think my first winner was the first person to join the program. Let me just make sure I got the name right. So that I can, yeah. And the first winner was Ojelade Adebumi, and that was the early bird gift. And then the last winner was Atoye B. Temitope Omolade, okay, who got my full meaning of VHA. Good. Okay, somebody else is coming to say it now, but you're already late because we already said the answer. So if you are saying it now, it's already late. I think that question has passed because I say I want you to say within the first 1 minute because I know people can easily go to some of those answers on your phone and all that. So I don't want to, I won't want to take that right now. So I've taken one answer. Okay, so I'm just going to ask the last question, and if you're going to give me the answer to this last question, you have to be live. You have to be on the page under the video correctly. Not if you're on the watch party, all you need to do is to click on the video itself. When you click on the video, it will take you to the video, and then you can put your answer directly so that I can take your I can know that you get you out. I can know when you give the answer, and I will know who gave it first, so that I can decide who's going to take my last gift. Okay, so the last gift I'm going to give, I want you to give me um give me four sources of DHA. Uh, four sources of DHA. Could be dietary source, but don't repeat yourself. It has to be separate, clear cut. So give me four ways or four sources of DHA that you can use for children for their brain development. So now I'll give the last gift to the person who get that. So that's the last gift I'm going to give away. So if you are if you know the answer to that, kindly just let me know, and then I will give you. So if you still have your question, just ask me. In Keruka, I'm so sorry. I saw your answer, but it's that question has passed. I don't think we can give it to you right now. We can give it to you right now. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. So I'm waiting for the who knows the answer to that one. So after that, then that will be my last gift for the day. But you must answer me on the live screen. I just see questions on the watch party. If there are questions on the watch party, kindly show it to me, then I can take them. So this program has been brought to you courtesy of Big 456. Okay, thank you to our sponsors. Okay, so I'm going to go on now. Okay, so as I've given the last question and then I've seen an answer, but the answer is not correct. I can rightly say you must give me the four sources that are completely different from each other, not repeating the same thing. So, and you have to be very, very specific. You have to be very, very specific. Uh, it can be any source in Keruka, any source. Just tell me any source of like DHA for the brain. But make sure that when you answer my question, you give me different sources that are clearly distinct and you are very, very specific. Or else I wouldn't take it as correct answer. Okay, so we still have a few more minutes to go on the program. If you have questions for me, you have to give me four sources. It has to be completely four sources. If you don't give me four sources, then I won't be able to take that. So answer your question properly because your ability to answer the question properly is also part of what I'm testing for. So if you don't answer the question properly, then I won't take it as a correct answer. And if I don't have any winner, then I can go with my kids. Okay, so today's program is also brought to you because of Access Pediatrician Foundation. Um, and we also want to wish you compliments of the season. Okay, I can't see anybody who is getting my answer. I can see some attempts by Nkeruka and Asafame Yoha. Yeah, but I can't see you getting it. You have not answered my questions correctly. So it has to be four sources of DHA for children, and it has to be completely different, distinct. You don't give uh okay, so in chemical you are trying, good try, but no, you are not yet being specific. And no, I won't give you today. I can be a very mean examiner. Okay, but you have to be specific. You've been listening to this program. This is, I mean, I've told you guys all these things today. So this is just to check whether you're listening to me and whether you really are getting what I'm saying. But beyond this, is just a giveaway. The most important thing is that I want to make sure that you guys have really understood the importance of DHA to brain development because we're talking about what has lifelong consequences. Yeah. So you can still make an attempt. Make an attempt. Okay, you guys should try. And we can move on like that. So thank you so much for joining me for this morning on Active Pediatricians Live. It's been easy running solo. And I'm able to manage. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. And if you are just joining and you've missed the beginning parts of the beginning part of the program, then it means you can watch it afterwards. So the videos are actually live on you can watch it after the live video as well. It will be on our page, it will be in our group, and of course you can also watch it on our YouTube. So usually we have our Active Pediatrician YouTube channel where you can watch all our past videos where we've talked about various child health topics. So if you want to watch it, you can also try. You can watch it afterwards as well. You want to watch what we have done in the past, you can always watch them. And if you still have questions, because once we are off once we go off live segment, I won't be able to see your questions and answer them. So if you still have questions after we are off the live segment, you can go to our group, Ask the Pediatrician Facebook group. If you just go to Facebook and you pop in Ask the Pediatricians, you will see our group. Once you see a group that has over like 500,000 members, then you know you're in the right group because there are some fake groups as well. So once you go to our group, you can drop in your questions there. Lynn, your answer is not correct, so I'm not giving it to you yet. I'm just showing you that I thank you for trying, but you are not yet my winner. So if you go to our group, uh, I say four sources. You have to give me 4 sources of DHA. I'm not sure I got that right. Okay, yeah, fish oil, yeah, special eggs fortified. Yeah, okay, Ibukun, you tried. Okay, I think I'll give it to Ibukun, though you tried, but not very perfectly. But I think you are still the closest to it. Yeah, okay, I'll give it to you, Ibukun. So I'll give Ibukun I'll give Ibukun the last answer. So fish, and of course, so if you mention one fish or you just say all sorts of fish and all that. Well, I would have preferred you give me specific examples of fish, really. So fish is not specific enough. The eggs, yes, some eggs, but not yeah. So eggs, breast milk, some dairy products that are supplemented with DHA. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll just give it to you because I think you are the closest to it. So you are also not the best, but I'll give to you. So I've got all my winners. Congratulations, Ibokun. So you'll be my last winner for today. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I was just saying that this program has been brought to you courtesy of Ask the Pediatrician Foundation. And if you have any child health questions, you can always ask us on our Facebook group. You can always ask us on all our platforms. And if you go to our Facebook group, you can drop your questions there. We are always there Mondays to Saturdays. We are not there on Sundays. So if you don't see us, opportunity to post your question on Sunday, don't worry, just come back on a Monday. You can post your question there. Monday to Saturday, we'll be there online to answer your questions. And we are on Facebook group. We also have our Facebook page. If you want to, we have our website as well. You can also read very nice child health topical articles on www.axipediatricians.com. You can also go to our YouTube channels. If you want to watch all our past videos, you can go there. And if you want to support Ask the Pediatrician Foundation, you can also support us. We do beyond what we do online, which is our Facebook answering questions, doing seminars and stuff like that. We also do community medical outreaches to indigent communities. And so if you want to support us, if you just go on our group, you will see all our details on how you can be a partner. And you also want to sponsor our programs, we are very, very happy to have you. So you can also just drop it there for us. And if you email us at askpediatrician@gmail.com, and we'll be able to give you more information on how you can be part of our program. Once again, we want to especially thank our sponsor for today, Pick 456 has been the sponsor for today's program. And so if you and we really want to appreciate Pick 456 for sponsoring this ATP Live this morning. And like we rightly said, Pick 456 is one of those products that also contains DHA. So if you are not sure where you can get your DHA from, you can definitely get it from milk dairy products that have been supplemented with DHA, one of which is Pick 456. So we thank them for graciously sponsoring to this program. And also all the winners that are going to get gifts, they'll be getting them courtesy of Pick 456. Okay, Ibukun, I've seen all your answers. I appreciate that. So, once again, this program has been brought to you courtesy of Ask the Pediatrician Foundation, and we thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we want to also wish you compliments of the season, and we will like you to join us again next week, same time. And I think this is going to be our last program for the year 2018. Yeah, it's been very eventful year for us, and so we'll be very happy for you to join us. It's going to be an open live, ATP live, and it's going to be an open house, so you can ask any questions. It's not going to be restricted to just any particular topic, so you can ask me any question. That will be our last ATP Live for the year 2018. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Once again, I am Bimi Solaboyede, and it's been a pleasure for me to run this program this morning. Have a wonderful Saturday. Bye.